May 27th, 2002.
She shared our horror.
I felt so sorry for whomever in those buildings.
Then worried about what it would mean for her religion.
I knew that we are the ones who are going to be blamed. So I somehow, in my heart, felt that let it be someone else other than a Muslim.
She is a woman of faith in a largely secular country.
Being a Muslim in Turkey is hard. The system doesn't allow women to cover themselves in public. When I started to cover, I felt like I fulfilled a duty and I accomplished something that I was missing for years.
Tonight, one Muslim voice, the wearing of the scarf.
From ABC News, this is Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Imagine a place hemmed in by competing cultures, Arabic, Persian, Russian, West European. Imagine a country that is predominantly Muslim, but for most of the past century, proudly secular, where women are free to compete with men on a surprisingly level playing field. In this context, a 43-year-old mother of two with master's degrees in engineering and business studies, both of them from U.S. universities, she ought to be doing just fine. And indeed she would be were it not for a simple piece of cloth. You're about to meet Inci Mercan, who, while studying in the United States, took the decision to cover, that is, to wear a headscarf. While she was here, she encountered neither hostility nor prejudice, only, as she puts it, polite curiosity. Once she returned to her native Turkey, however, the headscarf took on an almost unbelievable symbolic weight. The Turkish government is so wary of an Islamic revolution like the one in neighboring Iran that it periodically bans Islamic political parties. Now this, remember, in a country that is itself predominantly Muslim. Inci Mercan's decision to cover with a headscarf has become, in her native Turkey, an act of courage, one that is perceived, however, as an act of defiance. As she told the Independent Production Fund, our co-producers on this broadcast, she considered moving here to the United States until 9/11. After that, she says, she wasn't sure that it would be safe for a woman so obviously Muslim in appearance.
I felt so sorry for whomever in those buildings, Americans, whatever their religion, whatever their race are. They are innocent human beings, and it is so sad that they were just trapped in the buildings and died. Because of some crazy people out there.
They say that Osama bin Laden is hiding in the mountains near...
I knew that we are the ones who are going to be blamed.
They are sending a message to their...
But it is because of the mass media pressure, because media was airing and showing the pictures of people with beards and people praying in the mosques and, women with long dark clothes. People do something and say, we did it for the sake of Allah, for the pleasure of Allah, to please Him. And some people do crazy stuff and they say they do it for the sake of Christianity. I knew that the Muslims would be harmed because of this. The whole nation, whole Muslim nation would be harmed and they will be blamed for that. So I somehow, in my heart, felt that let it be someone else other than a Muslim. Muhammad Ali was visiting the wreckage in New York. People asked him, what do you think if people from your religion did this? And he said, do I have any judgments, any comments on Hitler? He's from your religion. And I kind of like that example because you cannot label terrorism as a religion. In Quran there are sayings that if you kill one person and if you kill it for pleasing yourself, as if you kill the humanity. President Bush said this is the beginning of a new world order, and this war would go as long as it takes. And this is the crusaders against Muslims. It was like, I said, oh, what's going on? We are back to 13th century again. You can have tons of bombs, tons of bullets or whatever, but there are people against you ready to die. What can you do? Because those people are somehow brainwashed or ready to kill themselves for whatever they believe, for the sake of their belief. So it is not easy for an army officer to fight against those people, because this is not an army against another army. This is army against people ready to die, kill themselves, like kamikazes in the Second World War. In Turkey, we don't feel it. It's an attack on Muslims. But I don't know, if I were in Afghanistan or if I were in Pakistan, I might have thought differently. We also send our soldiers to Afghanistan. Our soldiers are Muslims, and we send them to Afghanistan because we want to think that this is not Christians against Muslims or Jews against Muslims. This is common sense against terrorism. If you look at it as a war among religion, then this century is going to be a hell for all of us, not for Muslims also. This is a no-win situation because nobody is going to win this war.
When Inci Mircan speaks of the differences between Islam and the West, she knows whereof she speaks. She has, as I mentioned, a master's degree in business, this one from Cleveland State University, and it was there that she became a practicing Muslim. That part of her story when we come back.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Household.
I live in Ankara, the capital city of Turkey. Being in Ankara is like being in Washington, D.C. Very bureaucratic city, many civil servants, government buildings around. It's a modern city. The population is about 3.5 million. There are not many green spaces like in the States. Sometimes we have traffic. When I go to work, I have to wait like 10-15 minutes in the lines. Other than that, it's easy to live in Ankara. It's like being in America. There is no difference here and the States, especially in this neighborhood. You don't feel like you are out of the States. Youngsters go and eat fast food. It's very fashionable in Turkey, especially on weekends. My kids even go to Burger King and McDonald's. So that's the way, American way. We can see on the shelf the things that we don't need. We feel like we have to buy it just because the package, the shiny packages, it comes so nicely. I find it quite handy and bad in a way. I am married for 15 years.
Take these.
His name is Murat. He's in the business department at the university. He teaches at the MBA level and undergrad level too. I had masters in Turkey in industrial engineering, and then I decided to have another master's in business. So I attended Cleveland State University, and I had my degree, MBA. I have 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. My son, his name is Ahmet Yusuf. He is 12. He's gonna be in 7th grade. And my daughter's name is Saide Simin, and she's gonna be in 6th grade. She is 10, but she's a gifted student, so she's going very fast. I am proud of them. They are very good kids. I was born a Muslim, but I wasn't a practicing Muslim till I got into university. It's cheap. Being a Muslim in Turkey is hard. It's hard to keep your faith in here. The system, the establishment doesn't allow women cover themselves in public, especially when you go to university, to government offices to work. We are not allowed to put headscarf on ourselves. Some people saying that the country is going to backwardness like Iran. It somehow scared people. Maybe they think that the Islamists are gaining power and they are gonna rule the country. They felt that instead of constitution, the country would be ruled by Sharia, Islamic law. And secular women, extreme seculars, said we don't want Sharia, we don't want to cover ourselves. I like the freedom of democratic state as much as other people. I like to drive, I like to go out and eat freely on the restaurants. I like to watch movies. The only difference is my clothing. I mean, so what? If you don't want to cover, you don't have to cover. 1986, we got married and then we moved to Florida. In Florida, I had my son. I gave birth to him. And then after 2.5, 3 years, we moved to Cleveland. This is the park in our neighborhood in Cleveland, the first years that I covered. When I started to cover, I felt like I fulfilled a duty and I accomplished something that I was missing for years. So I felt quite relaxed. When I put it on, I said, oh gosh, I look older. I did not feel less feminine or anything, no, I did not. It just didn't happen in one night. I said, why not? I mean, but it took for me for a while. During the prayer, I put it on. And after the praying, it's not a game, I told to myself. If you want to do something, do it the right way. It's because of my faith I put on headscarf. Not because of my husband, because of my family. The purpose is to serve God, not to serve somebody else, to please someone else. The purpose should be to please God, please Allah. In Quran, it doesn't say you should dress this way or that way. It says women should hide their beauty, and beauty is explained like covering the whole body, not showing the body parts except the hands and the feet. And the hair. Hair is taught like beauty. For me, it's submission to God, total submission. In your mind, in your daily behavior, daily life. It's between Allah and you. We don't want to be seen like a sex object or anything, just an equal part of the society. We want to be outside everywhere. We want to participate in the hospitals, in the schools, and in the parliament, and everywhere. In Florida, we used to go to the Islamic Center of Gainesville. I met many Muslim friends. I met with many American friends who are Christians or Jews. I felt that I am freer than Turkey. No peer pressure, no pressure from society, not at all. I thought, what would happen when I go back to Turkey? I cannot work. I knew that I couldn't work with my headscarf. So I was thinking, should I take it off? No. Then what am I going to do? Because I wanted to work. And it was kind of a painful process for me.
You'll see just how painful when we come back. Inci Mercan is leading her own form of women's liberation movement, and she's doing it with the full support of her husband, a university professor.
In Turkey, when you apply for a job, they ask recently taken photos, which is not allowed in the States as far as I know. First, when I came here, I didn't have my photos, and I just sent my CVs. Remember, I applied for the jobs. You were taking me to the interviews with the kids in the car.
The kids were in the car. We were interviewing, and each interview was.
We were waiting outside, and after 5-10 minutes, I used to come back, and no, they did not accept me. What is gonna happen? I want to go back to the States. Why should I live here? Things like that. I went interviews with many companies, at least 15, 20 companies. When I went there, they saw me with the headscarf on and they said, sorry, we can't accept you because you have headscarf. Would you take it off in the office and you can put it on outside? I said, no, I can't do it. You know, I am the same person inside and outside. I can't accept it. The nice thing in the States, you know, you are not judged by your gender, your religion, the way you look. Now I am the director of research and development in a municipality affiliate company. The company distributes coal and produces asphalt for the city, for Ankara. In a way, this job is not very satisfying. I mean, I can do routine things, you know, that I learned during my education. It is not a very demanding job. I could have gotten a better job if I were not covered. We have a meeting room in our workplace. We sometimes discuss, you know, what's going to happen. For example, one lady, she is an industrial engineer. If she could work for a private company, she could make 3 times or 4 times as much as what she is making right now. Do you feel humiliated when someone asks you, you know, take off your scarf and work?
Since we are wearing scarf, we are not have a brain. I think they are thinking so. We cannot achieve anything. We cannot drive a car.
No.
God gave me my hairs and my body, and to show or not to show my body to other people, my hairs especially, it's my decision. It must be my decision.
And it is hard, I think. This is a very hot day, for example, but we are wearing scarf, and we are happy. Who cares?
We don't complain.
Yeah.
So why did you cover?
When I was working in the steel factory, I was not covered, but I have a lot of money, I have many friends, I go parties and picnics and so many things, theaters and riding bicycle, many things socially, but I was not happy. When I go my bed and try to sleep, I was thinking I should be a complete Muslim woman. And when I wear this scarf, I feel so strong. I felt so strong with that.
Inside?
Yeah, inside. And I was so happy.
I quit feeling sorry for myself because I have kids. I somehow got over with it. But I feel sorry for the next generations. They have to go through the same process that we went through. No improvement in the process, and things are getting worse.
Last July, when we first met Inci Mercan, she wanted to move back here to the United States, optimistic that life would be better for her family.
If the headscarf issue cannot be solved in Turkey, I want my kids to get their education in the States. I don't want them stay here in Turkey and suffer in the university campuses just because that my daughter, if she chooses to wear headscarf, of course, I don't want her to suffer.
But since September 11th, she's not so sure.
Before that, like 80% of me want to go to the States. Now 50% of me wants to go to the States. Here it is easy in certain ways, and it is easy in the States in certain ways, because here we don't have drugs and, you know, sexual problems like they discuss in the States. We don't have such problems. We don't have alcohol problems in campuses, not as much as in the States. So in terms of freedom of thoughts, freedom of dress, freedom of religion, it is better in the States. But the differences come from, you know, they go to church, I go to mosque, and, you know, okay, I cook differently, the cultural things, I dress differently, I mean. The only difference may be the scarf. I mean, other than that, I wear pants and, tunics and stuff like that.
Olur mu?
You put your scarf on your shoulders and I put it on my hair.
Şuraya takın. Şöyle takayım.
Now I don't know whether I should take them somewhere else in the world. Because nowhere is safe right now. We have to wait until the things will cool down. Because now I don't think America is a safe place for my kids.
Görenin yüzümü teyze bu.
I mean, in America, it is still a democratic place, a liberal place to live. Yeah, I believe that. Still. I mean, let's hope that it's not going to change totally. Güneşte kurumuş bak. Sun-dried apricots. They look nice. For a while, I'm sure they are going to close themselves and live in an eggshell. But afterwards, they have to, because they are the ones who rule the country, who rule the world. Now, it is the most powerful nation, so they have their duties.
I'll be back in a moment with a closing thought. It is, when you think about it, a bewildering notion that in one place Muslim women have had their lives made miserable, even intolerable, because of their reluctance to wear cover. And in another place, also a predominantly Muslim country, a woman's life is complicated beyond measure only because she insists on her right to cover. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, hope you had a good Memorial Day, and good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.